Hey everybody, Andrew here from the Bad Guitars podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something, well, you already know if you looked at the thumbnail. But we're going to be talking about a new guitar. But I want to lead in with a little bit of a backstory first. So, I'm sure this happens to all of us here in the guitar gear community, that we watch a video, we get inspired, these influencers are doing their job right. You know, you see something, it makes you want to learn more about it. You look into it, you watch a few other videos, you go down the rabbit hole, and next thing you know, you buy a piece of gear. And that's the whole purpose of having influencers. But, you know, everyone has their favorite videos that they watch. Now, for instance, here's a few examples where I've gone down that rabbit hole. Josh Scott of the G.A.S show and G.A.S pedals on his YouTube account influenced me to buy the Boss Power Driver, a very hard to find, rare, limited pedal that they only made for about 2 years or a year and a half back in the 90s. It's essentially their take on a big muff, but it's a completely different circuit that gets you very similar end result. I'll do a video on this pedal at some point. So I was influenced by that, by Josh Scott. My wife, when she first stumbled upon 60 cycle hum, she ordered me the K-Mize or Kimizi, whatever the name of this brand is, tremolo, after watching Ryan's Affordaboard series. This is actually the first pedal that my wife ever purchased. She bought it for me in the first year that we were married. So things like that, you know, you watch your favorite influencers, your favorite guitar YouTubers, and you get inspired to buy something. So the reason for the title or the thumbnail, I haven't decided which one I'm going to use for this exact tagline, but the reason I'm blaming Jason Mays for this new purchase is because he did a video on the Squier new 2025 Classic Vibe Telecaster that has a Bigsby, has a humbucker in the neck position. It's got this cool sparkle finish to it. I was already interested in that guitar when they first announced it a week or two prior to his video. Puts out his video, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta have this thing. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the other Classic Vibe models, and that's where I go down the rabbit hole. So I was fully intent on buying that Telecaster. Now, I don't really need another guitar with a Bigsby. I don't really need another guitar with humbuckers. But, you know, it stood out to me. Now, here's another thing. In my time of playing guitar, I've owned probably 6 or 7 different Telecaster style guitars. And something always happens where I just, you know, I part ways with them. If you watched our previous episodes on the Bad Guitars podcast or even my other gear videos, I had 2 Telecasters that I shipped off to Justice over at Fuzz. And then right after that, I got a Player 2 Telecaster, which we've talked about extensively on this channel, was a nightmare for me. That guitar came totally messed up. It needed leveling and crowning of the frets, needed a full setup, which, you know, out of the box you'd expect a full setup, but it needed a lot of work to be playable. And ultimately, like the pickups, I just did not like the pickups, which they're Alnico 5 pickups. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just, I guess I'm more used to old school Mexican style Telecasters that had like the ceramic pickups Uh, so I guess that's something I'm more familiar with, that tone, and that's what I more associate with a Telecaster. Anyway, so I had that. I had the Cabernita, vintage modified Cabernita Telecaster for a little bit, which I got in a trade. I set it up. Didn't really vibe with it. It sounded great once I got it set up. You can watch my nightmare video on that one too, like the whole initial first impressions with how badly it was maintained from the previous owner. Now, parted ways with that one. Parted ways with the Classic 5, or the Player 2. And then watch Jason May's video. I'm gonna get that one, but nope. I go down the rabbit hole. So this is the Squier Classic Vibe 60's Esquire Custom. It is a Chicago Music Exchange exclusive in this Dakota red with white binding and mint green pickguard. Now, this is not part of the 2025 lineup for Classic Vibe. This, I believe, is actually a 2024 model according to the serial number. So I'm not going to lie, I don't usually go for red guitars. Dakota red is actually, I think, one of the ugliest colors. Aside from Fiesta red, I think is the absolute worst guitar color. But the white binding and that mint green pickguard, I'll show it again here on camera. Something about that, it just looks really just, vintage to me. It looks like an old Coke can or something. Like, it looks really cool. So, I don't know. I thought, I'll give it another shot. I'll try an Esquire for the first time. Why not? And if this doesn't work out, I'm just not a Telecaster guy at all. So we're going to run through a few things on this guitar. We're going to run through some sounds. We'll start it off, just do a couple sound samples of the different pickup selections. Now, what I will say about this guitar is I am not a fan of this position right here. This guy, I think, is just absolute doo-doo. I don't know why they did this. I don't understand the purpose behind it in a modern guitar. I get they're trying to classic, they're doing the classic vibe thing. But the three pickup selections, for those that may not know, on an Esquire, you have the number 1 position, which is facing towards the bridge pickup. That is where you have just the volume control, but no tone control. In the middle position, you have both volume and tone control. And then in the number 3 position, facing where a neck pickup would be, you have no tone at all. And it's as if the tone is turned down all the way, but there's a capacitor in there. So it's creating like a mud over your sound. And that's what is commonly referred to as like the mud cap. It's a lower tone, and it's a filtering tone. It's not quite as if you had the tone knob turned all the way down. It's even darker than that on this particular guitar. So we're going to run through a few sounds real quick. So you can really hear how bright it is on the bridge and middle positions. If you have the tone knob turned all the way up on that middle position, you get essentially the exact same tonal qualities. But I've heard some people online say that with different models of Esquires over the years, there's a slight extra brightness on that bridge position. I'm not getting it. I'm getting the exact same tone on both that and the middle. I think what is unique about this that you can really do is find like the nuances within the guitar and its own limitations. And it helps you, form different dynamics and really figure out how to just, make the most out of a single pickup. I think the most versatile thing you can do with this particular guitar is you set your tone knob somewhere in the middle, and then you go back and forth between the different pickup selection options. So you have essentially one that has no tone, one that has like a medium tone, and the one that has the full brightness. And you can do that for different segments of a song or wherever it kind of calls for it. I feel like the neck position, although, there's no neck pickup, but that neck position, I feel like works best with like a really gnarly fuzz. I just think the best thing about this is that bridge position, the middle position. This guitar could just be pick up directly into the jack. I think that would be just fine for the simplicity and the minimalist, qualities of this guitar. So we're going to run through a few more sound samples. I'm going to turn on an overdrive. We're using the Fuzz Imp Shroot today. So it gives you a bit of a mid-range overdrive distortion. All right, so that is the Squier Classic Vibe 60's Esquire Custom, the CME exclusive version. I bought this, it was $100 off. I believe regular price is $469. I could be wrong, $479. Those that want to know something about the specs on this, I should probably run through those real quick. So we already talked about the Dakota red finish, the age white binding, mint green pickguard. You have a gloss polyurethane finish, as you do with all the Classic Vibe guitars. It is a maple neck with a tinted gloss urethane finish, as, again, you would have with any Classic Vibe. C-shaped neck, Indian Laurel fretboard, which I will get some photos to put on the screen here in a second. I'll probably put them like right here. I think it's a really beautiful, beautiful fretboard. I know a lot of people don't like Indian Laurel. I think it's better than Pau Ferro, for sure. Bone nut on this thing, actual bone nut. Nut width is 1.65 inches, 44 millimeters. 9.5 inch neck radius, if that matters to you. Scale length is standard Telecaster, 25.5 inch. 21 frets, and you get the white perloid dots. That's about it for the specs. It is a Fender designed Alnico single coil pickup. Doesn't say what kind. It might be Alnico 3, it might be Alnico 5. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm probably going to keep this pickup. One thing, I'm considering a couple mods, so I won't get ahead of myself and say I'll keep the pickup. I'm either gonna do something to remove that mud cap on position 3, maybe put a different one in. There is I think it's called the Eldred mod that a lot of people do, and it gives it more of a cocked wah sound. I'm not really a big fan of the cocked wah sound. I'm not really a Mark Knopfler fan. So I'm thinking I might just somehow wire that to be an overall boost, maybe a passive boost if I can find, a circuit for that. There is a passive drive circuit that you can put into a guitar, but you lose volume where you just wire a couple diodes in there. So I could do that, but again, it would probably be volume loss, which, as you could tell in the clips today, that position already has a volume loss in addition to the loss of tone. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do there. Another thing I'm considering is if I were to put a humbucker, Telecaster size humbucker in there, I could wire it to where these three-way switch does like a series, parallel, and coil split kind of thing. So that's something to consider. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and what options I should go with, or any mods that you have in mind. Other than that, sometimes the influencers get to you, and you buy the thing that they're talking about. In this case, as in, I'm sure many people have this experience, you go down the rabbit hole and you find something else that just catches your eye, and you can't let that thing go. So far, I'm really loving this guitar. I still blame Jason Mays, but I actually saved money versus if I had bought the other guitar. So, in another way, I should be thanking Jason Mays. Anyway, let me know what you think of this guitar in the comments. I know I didn't do a whole lot of samples. I'm trying very hard to make sure I don't play any kind of blues licks in my videos. I know my first few videos I did out of habit. But I think that's the thing I'm trying to establish in my videos moving forward, is like I'm trying to play more my actual playing style for how I write and record. And if people don't like that, I mean, they can always look at another video of the same product. Anyway, catch us every Sunday on the Bag Guitars podcast. We did skip this past weekend because it was 4th of July weekend, but we'll be back this coming week. And we'll see you. We're coming up on 50 episodes pretty soon. So, like I said, just leave us a comment, like, subscribe. That's the best way to help the channel. And we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.